Hello. So here, this is a video recording of several examples of some of the digital tools that I use on a daily basis with my students as a professional and also as a student in the master's program. So one of the first ones that I'm going to be showing you here is the Google Classroom. Obviously, I use this as a professional in my district. So I do personalize. First and foremost, here is a personalized banner that I use and I change on a monthly basis. Um, I do post some announcements for some of my students here. Under classwork, I use other Google Suite applications. For example, here I posted their star scores, which we did not too long ago. I also utilize attendance forms. Now for the attendance forms, I do use Google Forms. Now to show you another example of a Google form, which is another digital tool or application that I utilize within Google Classroom for my students, would be like, for example, this one. So here I like to just ask them and just do a little check-in with them. So for example, here I'm asking them, which motivational sticker will you attempt to follow for the last weeks of school? Just to give them a little motivation since we're wrapping up the semester. And here they would submit their answer. So far I've shown you Google Forms, which I'm showing you right now. And of course, our Google Classroom right here. So these are two Google Suite applications that I use frequently, not just with in my professional career, but also as a student at TEMU as well. Another application that I use would be this one right here. This is Google Drive. Um, so here what I'm showing you is some of the activities that I created last summer as a biology cadre. That is just a person that is specializing in a specific content, creating different types of activities for anyone to use. In this case, these would be used by students. So here you can tell, for example, by the little pictures or the logos here, these are Google Slides. Right now, I'll show you another example of what I use there. This one would be Google Sheets, Google Docs. And if you scroll down, there are more examples of activities that I have made, and these are all available on my website, which I'll show you next. So another application that I have also used is Google Sites. Um, in this past spring semester, I also utilized this Google Sites by creating a personalized portfolio. Um, so here is my opening page. It starts off just with a little paragraph describing myself and my experience as an educator. There's a quote, and here are some links that I have here at the bottom, such as YouTube. That's another digital tool that I utilize frequently, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. In the About section, this just um, lists my philosophies, my goals, um, and my experience, of course. Teaching evidence, I have sample syllabi, I have, for example, a video at the bottom of some of the things I do as a science educator, such as our dogfish shark dissection, which we did not too long ago. We usually do that at the end of the semester. And here is a little carousel of videos, of pictures that I've collected over the semester of some of the activities and things that I do with my students. When you click on Learning Hub, this shows some of the things that I teach as a science or biology educator throughout the semester. Um, so we like to divide them in 5 big categories. So category 1, I placed here a video that I uploaded that I made through Google Meet, which is another application that I use, and also downloaded to YouTube so that it could be available to everyone to see, especially here on my Google site. And then here is Google Slides. So these are all the notes that we have been using with my students throughout the semester. And as you can tell, it does also include GIFs or GIFs, which are moving pictures. So I try to use a variety of educational technology for my students to utilize. So if you go down, it's pretty much the same thing, just by category with different topics. Okay. So if we go back really quick to the About Me section and scroll all the way to the bottom in the part where it says created curriculum, if I click on that, it'll go back to that Google Drive of mine, and it'll show you again those activities which are linked in. Now, just to show you just a few selections of the activities that I've created through these Google Suite applications, the first one I'm going to show you is Google Slides. So here, Google Slides, I have created a little drag and drop activity. This is a diagram that we use with our students. So here it just tells them the instructions: place the answer cards, which are right here in purple over here on the right, in the word bank in the correct place on the image. So if they do this correctly, their um, their activity should look something like this. So here I provided an answer sheet. Um, Obviously, this is for a teacher to utilize, right? And of course, the teacher has to hide it or delete it before assigning it to their students, of course. Another example that I have in my Google Drive with created curriculum would be through Google Sheets. So this is another application that I do also utilize. So here I have created a vocabulary activity using conditional format. That's just using a technique that basically grades the activity itself. So you don't have to go back and forth between, let's say, your grade book online or on paper, and then between the assignments for each student. So, for example, if I was a student and I would be going through, let's say, these are the definitions, you would just select the drop down menu. And once the student selects the correct answer, it will turn green in this case. So if I pick this one, okay, so there's no change there. So the conditional formatting doesn't work there because it's not the right answer, obviously. Okay, so the student would continue to try, and all right. So number one, finally, I click the second selection for this one. It turned green. The answer is DNA for this particular definition. So I got it right. So the student would do the same thing with the second one, obviously read the definition for the second one, and then try to choose the correct one. So this one, I clicked RNA, which was the first option. It turned green. Awesome. We got it right. So another tab that I have here are the answers. Now, this, of course, would be only for teachers to view. If the teacher would like to, of course, hide it so that the student doesn't cheat, they would click on this little arrow that's going at the bottom. They could either delete it, or they can, of course, hide the sheet. My recommendation, of course, would be to hide the sheet so that the conditional formatting can work. And that way it would grade the assignment. Okay. Let's see. Another application that I use also frequently would be Google Jamboard, which is here's an example of a Google Jamboard that I created through that biology cadre stuff that I just showed you a while ago. So with Google Jamboard, this is just kind of like a whiteboard. I like to think of it like a big whiteboard. And all of the tools, of course, are located over here on the left if you're not familiar with that. So some of the tools we have here are pen. So you can have different colors here. Here you can have an eraser, the pointer. You also have sticky notes. You can add an image, shapes like circle, text boxes, and you also have a laser pointer. So here I added interactive pictures, which are called GIFs, of course, and the students would have to identify which gift is which, following the instructions. This is the answer sheet. You would have to hide it or delete it so that students don't get access to it. And here would be another drag and drop assignment. Another application that I also use is Google Drawings. So for this one, I use them mainly to make banners for my Google Forms. So like, for example, here I created a sign-in sheet, and the little banner that I use for that one would be "Welcome to Biology Tutorial Spring 2022." I added my little Bitmoji here and a little clip art. And sometimes I also use this for my students in order for them to create other projects that we have in my classroom. Another digital tool, of course, is my YouTube channel. I like to upload videos here of different things, including for my professional things and also as a student at TEMU. Another digital tool, TED Ed Lessons. For example, here I've used the video from TED Ed. I use the different applications here, such as Watch, which is they're going to watch the video. This would be for students, of course. Think they would have multiple choice questions, dig deeper, and discuss. And last but not least, some of the other digital tools that I use are virtual labs. So during COVID or pandemic times, virtual learning, I had to get creative with some of our labs. For example, here is a digital microscope by the North Carolina Community Colleges. So for this one, it is a digital microscope, and this helps students view, for example, plant and animal slides, and it also gives them real life examples, which of course brings real world relevance to their understanding of the content. So this concludes most of the digital tools that I use as a professional and as a student at TAMU. Thank you.